All right, good afternoon from Rum Creek, WMA here in Georgia. Today I'm going to do a little bit different type of Pota video. Somebody on YouTube said that a lot of the Pota videos that are out there are just, hey, this is the equipment I have, this is the contacts I make, and they never really say why they bought the equipment that they did. So that's what this video is going to be, is not only what I bought, but why I bought it, or why I made it, or why I've adjusted to using this piece of equipment or this method or whatever. So I hope you enjoy it, and hope you find it useful for your Pota setup, and let's get to it. Okay, so the first Pota why is, why do I have Pactennas? When I first started Pota in 2021, I had a Wolf River coils and I had a G90 Zygu radio. And so we'll talk about the antennas. One of the things about the end-feds, the end-fed random wire is the one I use the most, and the end-fed linked half-wave 20-40 meter antenna. The thing I like about it the most is that you only have one end in a tree or a mast, and you can put this other end on the tailgate. And even if it's only 3 or 4 foot off the ground, it still works fine because the counterpoise is your coax. And so the end-fed, have you seen a lot of YouTube videos about end-feds lately? I wouldn't say that they're the most popular Pota antenna, but I would say that they certainly are one of the top. So the next Pota why is, why do I just have this roll of cable or this cord to put stuff in a tree instead of having an arborist line or something like that? Well, I found that this is very simple. You hold on to the string, and then you just toss this up into the tree, and it works great because it unravels as it comes down. You don't have to have anything fancy like an arborist line, which is the weighted, the weighted line that people throw up. All you have to have is just a little bit of cord. And then the other end ties to the string, and away we go. For the next Pota why do I have a Sodabeam 7000 HDS? Well, the 27 feet is plenty of space for the random wire. The random wire is only 31 feet anyway, and so with the mast and the 31 feet, it works perfectly. Let me show you how. So what I was saying with the mast is sometimes you don't need to deploy the whole mast, but having it a little bit like this, a little bit high, maybe 6 feet, and then having the antenna off the ground a little more might help. So you don't have to use the whole mast. You can just attach it to the truck wherever you can, and then you're perfectly fine with it off the ground. So for the next why, we're going to talk about the 891 real quick. I had a Zygu G90 like I was saying before, and a Wolf River coils, and that combination did not seem to work real well for me. And so the 891 is a perfectly good small radio. It works great for Pota, and I have had no issues with it other than sometimes it doesn't have too many contacts because of the band. Pota why number whatever it is, always bring a first aid kit with you, because Mr. Ken over here hurt his little finger, and now it's going to make him in a bad mood for Pota. So always bring a kit with you. So the next Pota why is, why did I buy the Evolve compared to the very much larger Gateway laptop? Well, as you can see, the difference in the sizes here is drastic, right? So the Evolve is a great laptop. It does its job perfectly well, and for Pota it makes sense to have something that's light and small and has no moving parts. Whereas the Gateway has a actual hard drive, and it is a hog on the battery. That's why the screen is so dark, is because we're trying to save the battery for now. So yeah, that definitely is a good difference between the Evolve laptop and the Gateway. And that leads into the next Pota why, which is why I have the digital interface that I have. So now we're going to talk about the Pota why, about why I got the Signal Link versus the Rig Blaster. The problem with the Rig Blaster is it takes 2 USB ports to run it. Because the laptop did not have a input and output for the speaker and the microphone, I had to have a sound card interface separate from what was in the laptop. And then you also still have the control cable for the cat, so you need 3 ports to run the Rig Blaster. So this laptop, the bigger one, has 3 ports, 3 USB ports. However, because the Signal Link has its own sound card built into it, it only required 2 USB ports, which is perfect for the Evolve laptop, because versus the bigger one, this only has 2 USB ports. And so with the Signal Link, it made much better use of those 2 USB ports by having those built in to the sound card, as opposed to having its own sound card externally. Okay, so continuing my Pota why video, Pota why. When you bring someone to the park with you, you always should have a handheld. Always should have a handheld, because what you can do is you can hunt the park on Simplex. We use 440 and 2 meters, but you can hunt the park on Simplex if you haven't gotten them. So I haven't gotten a lot of the parks in Georgia. I've got about half of them hunted. And so when Ken comes with me, KQ4 GEC, we can hunt the park together. So you can get as creative as you want with that, of course. You can have tri-banders, so you can have 3 bands each, and then be able to do, 2 meter 440 and 220, that sort of thing. So get creative and figure out how you can do park to parks while you're there. Another important Pota why is, why do I have a fan? Well, today out here in the woods, obviously, we're in a natural park or whatever, a WMA, and the bugs can get really bad, and you can get where the fan really helps to keep the bugs off. It also keeps the equipment cool. Today it's about 80 degrees maybe, but the stuff is starting to overheat, so we're gonna cut it off. But Pota why do I have a fan? It's the next one. One last thing I was thinking about was that when we were talking about the computer, Pota why of why I use N3FJP for logging. To me, N3FJP is the simplest log that's out there. I have tried hammers, but I have been on N3FJP since 2007 for field day, and so because of that, mainly because of that reason alone, Pota why I use N3FJP for logging, it's because that's the one I prefer, and that's the one I'm used to. Other people may have a different opinion, and that's fine. That's why they make different things for different folks. And if you like hammers, great. If you don't, great. If you like something else, as long as you get the logs that you need and you can operate, that's what matters. Okay, so Pota Y, next one is, why did I buy a Bioenno battery? You know, it was a pretty great battery. I mean, obviously 20 amp, you know, is great. But the big Pota Y of why I bought the Bioenno battery is right here on the end. It already has the power poles plugged into it, and then there's also a separate barrel connector for the charger. So I can run this battery almost 3 times. The way I operate, I usually do 2 hours at the park, so I can go 3 times with this battery on, and then even if I lower power, I can go even longer. But I can go 3 times with this battery. That's not the important part. The important part is Bioenno took the time to go ahead and include these connectors. And then with the Pota Y of why I have the PowerWorks box is because it was all in one convenient package, and I didn't have to do any thinking on what connectors or adapters I needed, and I could just order it and it comes with the battery. And that is my Pota Y of why I have Bioenno and a PowerWorks box. Another Pota Y, we had to come back to the back of my house here. Another Pota Y is, why do I have a sunshade? Well, it's an umbrella, and basically you need some sort of sun shade or umbrella or something to cover your station or yourself while you're at the park. Right now this umbrella is over here, you know, when I was digging my hole for my tower. But basically you need some sort of shade. It is summertime, and in Georgia it gets unbearable.